Welcome to Talking Heads, a project of the Africa Centre based in Cape Town. Each week, we bring you the experts, mavericks, and the thought leaders who are demanding we think differently about who and what it means to be African.
Why, hello, Clarice.
There's nothing quite as delicious as a great crime novel. Its readers are described as having an appetite for evil. Certainly, from Agatha Christie's Hercule Poirot, Walter Mosley's Easy Rollins, or Dion Mayer's Benny Grissel, these stories are hard to resist, especially when penned by those with great skill. The clues, the gory crimes, the intricate details, and the yummy suspense. In research done in the library of the 100 most borrowed titles, 2/3 were crime and thriller novels. So, in a time when bookshops and publishers often despair as to the lack of appetite in the public for literature, along with fantasy and sci-fi, the popularity of crime novels ranks extremely high. Why this fascination? Is it purely a want for suspenseful entertainment? Or is there something more macabre about the addiction? HJ Golakai is a clinical immunologist and a crime writer. In an interview, she stated being obsessed with crime from childhood.
Midnight Conspiracy.
She was never squeamish and was fascinated with forensic science, due process in crime scenarios, as well as death. Her first novel, The Lazarus Effect, was published by Kwela in 2011. The protagonist is an investigative journalist, V. Johnson. She's Liberian, as is Hawa, and lives in Cape Town. V is going through some hard times, relationship, career, money, when a strange case presents itself. A teenage girl who has been missing for 2 years. V decides to investigate the cold case and soon gets embroiled. The story has all the twists and turns of a good crime novel. But what's often more compelling is the particular perspective given by V. Johnson. I am Yewande Omotoso, and today I'm talking with HJ Golakai about her work as a writer. Hawa, thank you for being with us and welcome to the show.
Hi, Yewande. Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
I wanted to start by asking you, why do you think there's this growing fascination with crime novels? What do you think the appeal is? Is it just an innocent need for entertainment, or is it something a bit more sinister?
Yewande, that's very interesting because in my line of work as a crime author and, speaking to people about my work and just about, the criminal side of life in general, I found that a lot of humanity tends to be removed from what we describe as the criminal element. And we tend to see it as something that's very confined and restricted to a certain level, a certain cohort of society that we believe is above us or removed from us. And I find that humankind in general is very much a binary, very much a combination, a duality of good and of evil. And normal people, the ordinary people as we call them, average Joes and Janes, they can very easily be pushed beyond what they believe their limit to be and find themselves in a situation and participate in an incident that could be easily construed as a criminal offense. And there you go, you have somebody who never thought of themselves as a criminal who is now clearly facing justice because they are being labeled as a criminal. So for me as a crime author, that's what I strive to do, to show people that this binary, this evil, this sort of sinister element that we think is beyond us or away from us is not so at all. It's very much a part of us, and it's just about knowing where your line is and what will push you to go over that line and surprise yourself, and there you go. So I think the whole criminal element and the sort of sinistral side of crime is really basic to hold a mirror up to society and to say this is who we are in totality.
As a crime writer, some of your characters are, by necessity, they're criminals. What's it like having such content swimming around in your head? You're having these people talking to you. You're having to give dialogue to such people. You're really intimate with their thoughts and their actions. What's it like?
Oh, what's that like? Well, I would say that crime has always been with me, so to speak, for my entire life. Even as a child, when we play games, I would always try to throw in some form of a criminal storyline or change the path of the story so that there was a murder or there was a theft or something, and other kids would roll their eyes like, okay, this is just a game about the red team versus the blue team. We're not doing all that. I would say that for me, it's gone with me from childhood. It was in the books that I loved to read, the Nancy Drews, the Hardy Boys, the Agatha Christie. It was with me, all the way. So I think I was actually the one late to the party. My brain always knew, my personality always knew. Yeah. And it took Hawa a while to kind of say, okay, maybe we should try and get one of these stories published and see what all this noise between your ears been about all these years. So I won't say that it's not a feeling that I can actually put my finger on and say, oh, it feels like this. It feels more or less like the dialogue that's always been going on. And I don't think the criminal characters, for me, the criminal characters, they don't stand out anymore, and I don't diminish them any less than the other characters in the book because they're the criminals, they're supposed to be the bad seeds, or it's when the characters line up in my mind, the first person to raise their hand is always the victim, to say,
I'm the victim.
And then from there, the other people will raise their hand to say,
I'm the murderer.
I'm the criminal.
I'm the murderer's sister.
And like that, my cast of characters will line up. And they all, depending on their role in the story, they all will have a pretty equal voice and an equal contribution to the story. So I don't really see my criminal characters as bad people. I think it's occasional when I will write a character that's really just bad through and through, because that's how life is. It's pretty rare that you find people who are actually just born twisted, and so I tend to have that humanizing effect with the criminals that I write about. So.
And that seems to be the job of the writer as well, because these are human beings. Part of the magic of crime novels is the tight plotting that's required. I always go to crime novelists when I want to learn a bit more about plot. Would you agree with that? And if you do, could you speak a bit about your own techniques when it comes to plotting your novels?
Crime is the hallmark of crime. This is the defining feature of crime, that people want very tight, they want very pacing literature. And crime is also characterized by more dialogue, more punchy sort of dialogue, and less sort of very fluid and musical language, which is another reason I love it, because I'm not very musical in my language. And I love the tight plotting. But there's a sort of new genre of crime that I feel is a bit gimmicky, where, from page 1 to page 200, they basically string a hook through your nose and drag you throughout the book. And I find that there are situations in life where the storyline can move that quickly, with things happening almost every second. And I find that the pace is so contrived to be tight that you lose the reader. The reader almost feels like this isn't realistic. That's why I chose a cold case for this book. And I wanted to show people that there is a realistic way that different sort of crimes unfold. As for my own style when I plot, I tend to let my chapters lead me. I like to let the story breathe here and there, but to always have action going on.
You're in a minority as a Black African female crime novelist. What do you think about that? Is it something you're aware of? Do you think it matters?
Oh, goodness. The acronym, the BAF crime, what is that? The Black African crime. I think anytime you enter a genre, anytime you enter a field, you always need to know the lay of the land. To be an African woman writing crime is another thing that people, they raise their eyebrows at a lot. It's not something that I make myself aware of a lot. I don't think if you're passionate about anything, you should really make it your duty to define yourself so that people can basically put a stamp on you and put a label and say you fit there. I'm doing what I love to do, and I'm exceptionally glad that it found traction and that people pay attention, and for me, that's enough.
What do you love the most about writing, and what do you find the hardest about writing a novel?
I think the most satisfying thing about writing a novel, one of the most satisfying things is that writing is very insular. It's a very introverted, occupation. You have a lot of time by yourself. And the worst part is the editing process. That drives me absolutely up the wall.
Is there a new book around the corner? And if so, what's it about? When can we expect to see it? Can you give us a preview?
Yes, there is a new book that I'm very close to completing. Right now, I won't give any titles, but I will give a sneak peek in advance. It's also a Benjamin Johnson mystery, and featuring many of the same characters that featured in book one. And it's a sequel, so it's picking up from her life a little while after the first book.
It sounds exciting. I really look forward to reading it. Will it be out this year?
Well, I'm holding fingers crossed, toes, nose, everything is crossed that it will come out this year.
Hawa, thank you very much for speaking to us.
I thought it was a pleasure.
To find out more about HJ Golakai and to listen to other podcasts, visit www.talkingheads.org.za.